flesh on what we're talking about, we're fortunate to have with us Cameron Sabit, who's one of our young leaders, but powerful individual. Apart from that, medical journalist of some renown, venture capitalist. He's currently studying at Georgetown's Medical School after having attended University of Pennsylvania, where he studied ethics and religion. Good morning and welcome. And help us understand this new concept. So we'll follow that with a discussion.
Yes, thank you very much for the warm introduction. I really appreciate it. And what a wonderful lineup of speakers we have today. And congratulations, Minister Tang. And yes, I'd like to introduce the Boston Finance Accord today. So, yes, good morning. It's a privilege to stand here at Harvard's Loeb House among leaders who understand that ideas shape futures. And I'm honored to introduce the Boston Finance Accord for AI Governance 24/7. And this is a framework designed to anchor trust, ethics, and human values at the core of AI-driven finance. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the moment we face. And this is really trust at a crossroads. We're living at a time when algorithms move money faster than regulation can track, and faster than citizens can question. Global finance has become instantaneous, opaque, and untethered. And it's untethered from public confidence. Trust, once the foundation of economic systems, is wearing thin. And AI accelerates the transformation. But speed without accountability leads to instability. The world doesn't need promises of future oversight. It demands governance that is ethical, transparent, and continuous. Governance that works every hour of the day. So what is the Boston Finance Accord? Well, this is a framework for AI-driven finance. The Boston Finance Accord answers this demand. It creates a structure where AI in finance operates with clear standards, real-time transparency, and a focus on inclusion. This isn't theory. This is a blueprint for continuous, citizen-centered governance. The Accord embeds accountability into every layer of AI-driven financial systems, grounded in the ethical principles of the AI World Society and strengthened by the international cooperation we see in front of us today. And what are the key innovations proposed by this accord? So these are pioneering tools for a new financial era. This framework introduces tools designed to make ethics measurable and participation real. So for instance, the Trust Score and Peace Finance Index quantify transparency and fairness and social impact. And the AIWS Citizen Forum brings communities into the design of financial systems through AI-assisted deliberation. And the Boston Ethics Finance Protocol sets a global standard for AI auditing, eliminating the space where unethical practices could hide. These aren't abstract ideals. These are operational mechanisms built for impact. So, very briefly, what does global unity in action look like, and how is that reflected in this accord? So this accord reflects the vision of leaders from Boston to Tokyo. It carries forward the legacy of Shinzo Abe's commitment to peace through innovation, and builds on the Tokyo Accord's foundation. This is a coordinated effort involving G7, G20, and the Indo-Pacific nations, with pilot programs and collaborative platforms launching this year. The work has already begun, and the momentum is real. So, why does this matter? Well, we want to turn artificial intelligence into assistive intelligence. What does that mean? So artificial intelligence will define the future of finance, and the question is whether it will serve systems or serve people. The Boston Finance Accord ensures that AI amplifies human values, trust, equity, and transparency. And finance must be a force that protects communities and fosters inclusion and operates with integrity around the clock. So join us in shaping ethical finance. And this is an open invitation. Engage with the Accord's pilot programs, contribute to the forums, be a part of the global dialogue where AI-powered finance strengthens and not weakens public trust. The tools are here, the framework is set, and now it's about leadership and the collaboration we're seeing here today. So thank you for your attention and for your commitment to shaping a financial future that reflects the best of human judgment and technological possibility. I look forward to building this future with all of you.
Now we're going to move into a kind of a roundtable format with Elizabeth will moderate it, and speakers talking each for a few minutes, and then we'll go to the open question and answer. Do we have a mic? I think it'd be better if we just kind of stay at the table and kind of work down the table and around the table. Do we have a mic?
Yeah.
And
I'm good this time. So I'm going to make you laugh a bit, because we can be serious without taking ourselves too seriously, right? Yeah? Are you with me? Good. If I was in France, I would spend hours and hours giving you the mic so you can give me all your biographies and show us how important you are and all the beautiful things you've done. In America, we have to be much more efficient. So I have a few questions that I would like to ask, but I really want us to have a very constructive conversation, because I'm sure that if Tuan and the Boston Global team has invited you, it's because you have something interesting to say, so we can advance on the topic we are discussing today, right? So would you mind raising your hand if you're burning to speak? Or would you mind raising your hand if you have something very interesting you would like to bring to the people in these assistants? No? Okay, so I'm going to start with my question. Audrey, this question is for you. You have shown that technology can serve democracy and not weaken it. But that's the perception of most of the people today. What principles do you think should guide us when building AI-driven financial systems that aspire to serve humanity first?
Thank you for the great question. I'm delighted to learn that the AIWS Citizen Forum is launching the third quarter of this year using the ideas that we have piloted in Taiwan, such as AI-assisted deliberation. In Taiwan's experience, and also the experience from Bowling Green in California and Tokyo and many other places, we found that broad listening works differently from broadcasting. Broad listening works best if there is a shared urgency. For example, in Taiwan, this trade agreement with Beijing was perceived as extremely urgent, and that made sure that people in different political ideological lines can find something that uncommon ground that they can agree on. The same in California with wildfire recovery and prevention, because the emergency is very fresh in people's memories. So the shared sense of urgency would be a very good test to find the first topic from the AIWS Citizen Forum to discuss when it comes to aligning AI. In Taiwan, last March, the most financially related AI harm is fraudulent advertisements. At the time a year ago, you see in Taiwan, on Facebook, on YouTube, Jensen Huang, the NVIDIA Taiwanese leader, trying to sell you some crypto or some stock. And if you click, Jensen actually talks to you by voice, and later on by video. Of course, it's all deepfake. And because of that, we asked 200,000 random people in Taiwan what to do in a way that does not make the government gain censorship or surveillance powers. And people collectively figured out a way to counter the fraud by making sure that we default all the advertisement as scam unless it can get the digital signature from the Jensen Huang or anyone featured in the advertisements. And if somebody gets scammed out of $7 million, then Facebook should be liable for the same damage if they do not implement the KYC. And finally, if TikTok or ByteDance do not comply by setting up a local representative, who are authorized to slow down connection to their servers gradually until all their business goes to Google or something. And so this kind of ideas are not censorship, they're not content level ideas, they're behavior and actor level ideas. And because we showed the parliamentarians, more than 85% of people agree with these measures, no matter where their political affiliations are. So it got fast-tracked by the parliament, and today, this year, we don't see any fake advertisements anymore. So the shared urgency over common harms, coupled with something like the air cover, a pre-commitment from the minister, from the government, from the leaders to implement these common insights together will co-determine the success of this kind of AIWS Citizen Forum. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so when you will be speaking, if you don't mind coming here so you can be filmed, if you don't mind, okay? So my next question, Chuan, will be for you. So, are you coming here so you can be filmed? Okay. So, Chuan, the Boston Global Forum has been at the forefront of promoting ethics, digital governance, and peace through innovation. And I would like you to tell us how you see the role. Okay. I would like you to tell us how you see the role of advancing this broader mission for a fairer and inclusive world. And I would like you to insist a bit. I know how much you believe in cooperation and collaboration over the 4 continents. That's what you've been building over the past years. And I would like you to tell us what's going to be different when we will be leaving this forum today.
Yes. The first, I think every people agree that finance is very important, economy and business. So there are many issues we need to improve to make finance better. As our people present and talk already, I don't want to repeat again. But with our ideas, with AI and our new ideas, we can try to improve a constructive and positive change for finance system. That is why we do Boston Financial Accord for AI governance 24/7. And the second, architect have just raised that is the concept plurality. And then we need for people, government for people, and finance for people. Finance for people, every country, equality of opportunities for every country, every people will make better, shorter gap between people, between countries. You can see today the big gap with new technology, new economy, continue big gap. So I think finance, it can help, can reduce, can solve that issue very much. Of course, we need to collaborate between country, between business sector and also academic. And that's the reason why this time we would love to learn very much from academic sector, from Harvard Business School, MIT Sloan School also. Yes, we have professor from MIT Sloan and finance. Also, we have discussed with some Harvard Business School professor already as a Tarun Khanna from India also. But I think we are optimistic thinking if we do collaboration, consolidate, and for common goal, but a better future. And finance is very, very important. And Africa, we will do Africa, and we will have Northern Plurality Summit as an idea from yesterday. You and African discussing here and have ideas. We will do that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Stuart. My next, oh yeah, you can applaud him, he deserves it. My next question is to Sir Mark Kennedy. Mark, would you join me here, please? My question is based on the wonderful conversation you and I had yesterday, and I found it so constructive and so full of hope that I wish you to share that with the room. And my question would be, I mean, your career has spanned public service, you've been a congressman, finance, education, and innovation. And I would like to know what guiding principles has helped you navigate so many complex transitions whilst staying true to your values.
Well, thank you, Elizabeth, for that great question. Difficult to answer. I would say amongst the core principles that I've always followed is that life is a game of addition, not subtraction. That we're better off multiplying our talents together rather than descending into division. And if you just follow those practices, you'll find that it attracts others to the cause you have. I want to address that in the specific issue of finance that we're talking about here today, because I now lead the Water Institute for Strategic Competition, and one of our key focuses is infrastructure and finance around the world. And what frustrates me is that we have an entity we call the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation, DFC, and it helps finance infrastructure around the world. It returns net revenue to taxpayers. We also have our Export-Import Bank to help bring technology from America around the world. It returns net revenue to taxpayers. They're both about the size of Finland's, not the size of the European Union's or scale of the United States. China's Export-Import Bank is 50 times greater in assets than America's. And you wonder why we have a trade deficit. So why can't we, as part of this, bringing finance to the world in a way that addresses all those needs you talked about, where we have the technology, where there is the need, where it would create not just wonderful opportunities for the people of those countries, but if you thought about it selfishly from America's perspective, I've become convinced that infrastructure is the conduit through which future commerce flows. If we want to have a less trade deficit, build infrastructure, when it comes time to the repair, replacement, add-ons, they're looking to American firms. It also creates diplomatic partnerships. When you build infrastructure together that transforms a society, you are by nature engaging with that society in a way that it builds bonds. And in many cases, it helps our security. If that digital software through which all the data is flowing is Huawei, where China can harvest that to train models and glean secrets, our security is at risk. If China is investing in over 100 ports around the world and we're not, and there's a time of geopolitical stress, they have the leverage on our commerce. So I would just argue for we ought to be investing in Development Finance Corp, Export-Import Bank, and have the goal of having those at the scale of the United States. That alone will go a significant way towards the goals that you outlined in your excellent speech, Elizabeth, and would be consistent with my view of life as a game of addition, not subtraction, of multiplying, not dividing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. He's so inspiring. Chuan, may I ask a question to our Mr. Consul from Japan, who makes us the pleasure to be with us today? Mr. Consul, would you mind joining me here? I have a question for you. No? It's a super question, I promise you. But if you don't feel comfortable, that's okay. It's okay.
Please go ahead.
Okay. So my question to you regarding the fact that Japan is renowned for its excellence in cybersecurity. And I would like to know how you see the role of cybersecurity in building trust and resilience in the future of digital finance.
Wow. Well, I'm not quite sure we are really advanced, but that's for sure. We are making every sort of efforts, to really make sure, cybersecurity, to facilitate all of the benefits, generated by this, AI society. And definitely it's a spirit, expressed by the fortunately late Prime Minister Abe, and this has, created this new momentum to push forward. And in my view, it's always international coordination to.
Please.
Okay, yeah, to maintain and generate, the very solid, iron-fragile foundation. And Japan is always ready to cooperate with all the international community to materialize this idea. And I'm very much thankful for the invitation to me. This is my very first attendance in this very inspiring, experience. And as a Consul General of Japan, we are always ready to play our role as a convening power and a catalyst for the development of all of these inspiring and constructive debates. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Consul. I have to tell you something. This afternoon, I am traveling to Japan for the first time, and I feel so excited about that because your country is admirable on multiple senses. So thank you very much for being with us.
And
thank
the World Expo has just started.
That's exactly the reason why I'm going there.
Yeah. I hope you will get another inspiration.
Thank you, Mr. Consul General. So shall we move forward now? Yeah? With the next panel? We have more? We have more time? Yeah?
According to my schedule, we open it up for discussion.
I still have a couple of questions to ask, so if I still have time. Okay, so now I'm going to ask a woman. Let me see, Rafaela. You come from Lisbon. You are a teacher, a professor, I may say, a professor. And you've been working for a long time on the way you can mobilize the diaspora to support the development of the African countries. And namely, Cabo Verde, since you are from that country. Would you mind sharing your experience on that topic and considering what you have heard this morning and considering that the fact that you have so many smart people in this room, what would you like to ask in terms of inspiration or help or whatever?
Thank you very much. I was totally not expecting this.
I know.
So thank you for this opportunity, also to be here with all of you. So indeed, what I'm expecting that AI will foster collaborations, especially with the Global South, and AI might unite rather than divide. This is indeed a concern because in the Global South sometimes we have a problem also with literacy. So how then we can foster collaborations, or we can use fantastic tools that are at our disposal, technological tools that we are talking today, really to empower, to upskill, to promote quality education, to promote scientific collaborations, and to really promote something that might also benefit the country with the global, powerful economies in getting data, in being more applied to the real context of the Global South, use and expand AI also to create powerful projects that are applied to that reality and that can solve also specific concerns regarding the medical background, for instance, something that is more applied to genetics and that therefore might be different in terms of therapeutic solutions, for instance, that the people need to recalibrate towards different genetic backgrounds, or also in terms of climate change, how we can then promote more reality applied solutions that are then feasible and strategically also useful to better understand globally all these concerns and challenges we are facing through.
Thank you, Rafaela. I cannot help but ask you this question. I know you are currently working on a beautiful project called African Descendant Women Impact Network, and you are betting on the role of women to help Africa rise. Can you tell us a few words about that?
Yeah, of course, because women, we are indeed sometimes challenged with occupying especially leadership positions. We need to show much more regarding to the other half of the world, so regarding men, we need really to show that we are doing really the best, and we have a stress imposed in terms of occupying leadership position, and when women are coming from Africa or of African descent, the stress is even higher, because indeed there are less positions that can be fulfilled or are expected to be fulfilled in leadership position. So with this organization, the ADMIN, the African and African Descendant Women Impact Network, so we will indeed upskill thousands of women in the African continent and outside globally, promoting quality education, promoting upskilling, promoting the access to resources that are both health and financial, and also learning from each other about the culture and the heritage that we were left and we will move forward with through technology, because all those women will be connected and mentored by role models through technological tools that are adapted and applied in many different languages, creating the power of togetherness and solidarity.
Thank you very much. Can we applaud her as well? You're giving me the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen. You may know that we have less than 30% women participating to this new AI game. And 30%, if you remove all the marketing stuff, all the HR stuff, and so on and so forth, on the technical side, we have less than 15% women participating to the production, to the construction of AI. So it tells you how important it is if we want to create a fairer world, how important it is to involve women in this journey. Thank you very much. I have one last question for India. Okay. Thank you. I am going to go to Professor. I heard that you had beautiful things. Who is that? Chuan. You told me that we have one of our professors here.
Yes, we are. So start to for finalists speaking. So I think Bruce Schneider.
Yeah.
First. Right here.
Here. Sorry.
So in my Bruce.
Maybe I can call the next panel now, right?
Yeah.
Can I do that?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to call Mrs. Audrey Tang, Mr. David Silversweg, the MIT professor Nazli Shukri. Yeah?
My team.
Okay. You're going to, okay. So he will be replaced, right? Okay. Bruce Schneier, cybersecurity expert. Yeah. Alex Pentland, MIT professor, who will be speaking on
video.
On
video we will present later.
Okay.
And also
Good.
send link later. Yeah.
Fantastic.
First one, all people in person to discuss today.
Okay, and then Cameron Sabet, who is who you've heard already this morning, and these distinguished people will have 5 minutes to speak and share their ideas.
My whole track also.
I'm so sorry, I didn't have your name on the
I
list.
have the name. Okay, no problem. Yeah. Awesome.
You see, we had no time to rehearse. You have understood that, right? So we're going to start with you, sir, if you don't mind. Yeah? Yeah, for the filming it's better. And would you like to have this hand mic or do you prefer that one? Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, good morning everybody. And Governor Dubakakis, even though he's not here, the co-founder of the Boston Global Forum, Professor Patterson, who's the co-founder and co-chair, and Mr. Nguyen Tuan, co-chair and co-founder and CEO. Thank you for this invitation. It's an honor for me to be at Harvard again, and this historic Globe House. I was asked to speak on financing artificial intelligence for government 24/7 in the context of India, my country, and its role in the global south. So I'll try and do that very quickly. While India ranks in the global top 5 on Stanford University's AI Vibrancy Index, experts agree that India is many years behind the two global leaders, China and the United States. However, the government of India announced its India AI mission in March 2024 with an outlay of $1.2 billion US, and nearly 25% of those resources have been approved for spending in this particular financial year. This AI India mission is an early step in India's AI journey, although a number of steps have already been taken in terms of AI 24/7 government. I think India has some key prerequisites for AI-powered government 2047. Notable amongst these are its well-established and recognized digital public infrastructure, known as DPI, prominent amongst which are the UPI, a real-time payment system, and the Aadhaar card, which is the national biometric identity system. These taken together are an open, interoperable digital system for identity payments and data which inherently promote transparency and inclusivity. By placing essential services on digital platforms, these are made accessible to all. And as a result, DPI in particular enables service delivery in a transparent and accountable manner. In an aggregate sense, the scale in India is huge by any global standard. India's Aadhaar covers 1.3 billion people. India has also used DPI in several areas, and its UPI payment system is an acknowledged global leader in the ease of use, and its transaction value, which was $239 billion in August 2024, a 31% increase over the previous year, and its volume of 14.96 billion in August 2024 was a 41% year-on-year increase. The average daily transaction volume was 483 million, and the average daily transaction value was US dollars 7.7 billion. So from a scale point of view, I think India is clearly there already. This Boston Global Forum conference had prioritized, amongst other things, transparency and accountability, scalability, which I've already talked about, inclusivity and financial innovation, including the use of real-time financial systems for AI government 24/7. So allow me to highlight the current state of play in India in these critical areas and its potential role in the global south in these areas. On transparency and accountability, good Indian examples include the direct benefit transfers, which are a real-time dashboard and faceless service that minimizes corruption and increases traceability. Services like Aadhaar, the UPI, and DigiLocker also provide audit trails that ensure accountability. In the area of disintermediated technology for AI governance, which cuts out middlemen and touts, India is doing a lot of work. This helps increase fairness, trust, efficiency, and equity, in addition to reducing rent-seeking behavior, leakages, and corruption by eliminating middlemen. It does this by offering direct, online, faceless, 24/7 government services to the public. Prominent tested examples in India include the DBT, tax filings, passport services, and online transport services. By digitizing payments, India is estimated to have saved over $27 billion in several schemes due to the removal of duplicate or fake beneficiaries and bribery opportunities. In the area of skilling and reskilling, this is a huge area requiring attention, including digital literacy for citizens, reskilling government employees for e-governance and AI, cloud and cybersecurity training. Significant skilling and capacity gaps continue to exist, however. A particular high-risk area in India, which has already been mentioned more generally, and Japan seems to have done a lot of work, is in the area for both government and citizens is from cyber attackers because of the inadequacy of effective cybersecurity, which becomes more and more crucial as services leverage authenticated identity. On scaling DPI with AI, I've already mentioned the scale in India, but this can clearly be expanded further. And I think a notable example in India during COVID-19 was the CoWIN, which made vaccinations easy to track, and I think over 2 billion vaccinations were provided using COVID. And I personally took them as well, so I know how well they worked. Driving the AI 27 governance agenda requires key institutions, and certainly in the global south, I think coordination, in the case of India, by the Prime Minister's office is crucial. You can't just delegate it to one or some other ministry. And a 24/7 services have to be created to coordinate interministerial and, in a federal system like India, center-state implementation. You also require judicial and legislative support, which will be necessary for policy and legal frameworks. Effective data utilization is a huge area, and while the corporate sector has been using AI effectively to study and use large data pools. A lot more needs to be done by the government, particularly on cybercrime and cyber breaches, which need to be addressed as a matter of priority. On urban and rural infrastructure readiness and financing, this is a critical area in the global south. And India's aggressive investment in rural connectivity, with 95% of villages now covered, and having about the cheapest mobile data rates globally, I think stand out. Public-private partnerships for financing will be needed to include government funding to ensure universal access and private investment to innovate and maintain advanced services. There are a number of overall challenges in a country like India, which is very diverse, which is huge, which has a federal system, and where user interface remains a major problem, particularly affecting migrant populations, and I'm talking about domestic migrant populations, which are estimated at over a quarter of India's 1.4 billion population. So while digitization and AI can help, they cannot fill in for missing services or investment. And I think a cautionary note is also in order from a good governance and human rights perspective, because AI government 24/7 can be a double-edged sword, since it gives the central government enormous power, control and oversight over citizen data and activities. And I think this becomes a big challenge in a lot of the global south. I want to say a few words about India's potential niche in the global south. Despite some limitations, I think most experts will agree that India has demonstrated adequate scale, credibility, and potential in the digital area for it to play a leadership role on AI government 24/7 in the global south. And I think this was the main reason for why Indian Prime Minister was asked to co-chair the recent February 2025 Paris AI Action Summit with President Macron. India has also showcased its DPI during the country's G20 presidency in 2023, where it secured support for a One Future Alliance, a proposed mechanism for G20 members and institutions to pool funds to sponsor DPI deployments in developing countries in the global south. India has advocated for digital sovereignty and tech neutrality at the United Nations and has expressed serious concern about its strategic autonomy being violated by dependence on foreign services and platforms that could be subject to sovereign action. Of course, the US sanctions that cut off payments systems, SWIFT, Visa, MasterCard, Amex, to Russia after its illegal invasion of Ukraine are a case in point. As a result of these concerns, India has advocated for a federated open source model in global forums, and these include its modular open source identity platform called MOSIP, which has now been adopted by 26 countries in the global south. Open standards, data localization, national clouds, and initiatives like India's MOSIP offers countries modular and open source technology, and I think strategic autonomy in this area is obviously a special concern for an AI digitally powered 24/7 government, and sovereign control of digital platforms through sovereign clouds is one way forward. It's a solution suggested by big tech, but I think a lot has to be done. Let me end just by saying that financing AI government 24/7 in the global south has to come from national budgets, multilateral agencies, PPPs, and philanthropy. India's role could include sharing expertise through its India Stack diplomacy, which has already been used in the South Asian neighborhood, in Singapore, and in Africa. And South-South cooperation bonds, PPPs for telecom infrastructure, big tech, digital inclusion, and crowdfunding are all needed to structure partnerships to guarantee public affordability and open access. And I think the bigger finance question is the same as the finance question for e-governance. All governments need to budget for technology, digitalization, and cybersecurity. Multilateral and development agencies can play a role in financing these for global south countries, struggling to do so themselves, especially to influence quicker adoption in the same manner that the United Nations and multilateral development banks are supporting or financing renewable energy and green power projects in many developing countries. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kamal Kalota. I'd like to remind our honorable assistants that you have been the former UN resident coordinator. Thank you, that was super interesting. I am now going to call Mr. Bruce Schneier, who is the Harvard cybersecurity expert.
Actually, first I want to say that just yesterday my mother texted me and asked if I could take her to Osaka for the expo. So something is in the air. I guess it just opened up and there are news stories, so I think we're going in the fall. When I think about AI in finance, I actually want to give a cautionary tale that looks at power. I have been thinking about the notion of rules and loopholes and rules hacking. And the notion, and we see it a lot in the present day, that powerful entities take systems of rules, find loopholes, and hack them. That's tax avoidance, that's a lot of our political system, it happens in a lot of social, political, and economic systems. And AI is capable of doing that. It's called reward hacking, and it happens when an AI achieves a goal in a way that the humans didn't intend. There are stories from AIs playing video games, there are stories in AI simulations. Most of these stories are in simulations because you really don't have AIs operating much in the real world systems, usually in closed systems. We have seen AIs who are been told to figure out how to win at chess, figure out how to break the rules of chess to win it, like to go into the system and change where the pieces are. It's really interesting ways that AIs will think outside the box. And that's something that we actually can't prevent because we can't actually create the box. If you remember the stories of a genie or the story of Midas, these are stories where someone is given a wish and the wish is granted in a way the wisher didn't want. And to me, the lesson of those stories is that it's impossible to formulate a wish in a way that a malicious wish granter can't give it to you in a way you will dislike. I mean, try to do it in your head. Try to wish for something in a way that cannot be subverted. You can't. Language doesn't allow it. And what this means is, when we give AIs goals, they can, maybe, figure out ways to subvert the goals, to achieve the goals in ways that society might not like. I think about this in terms of tax policy. We can imagine handing an AI the nation's tax codes, the world's tax codes, and saying, minimize tax. And it will come up with loopholes. It might come up with something like the double Dutch Irish sandwich, which is the tax loophole that companies like Google and Apple use. And it involves US tax law, Dutch tax law, Irish tax law, and an offshore tax haven. Right? A human came up with that. And that has cost countries billions of dollars. You could imagine AIs coming up with 1, 10, 100. And here power matters. Right? If I have an AI do that, they'll come with a tax loophole, and what do I save? A few $1,000s on my taxes? Goldman Sachs does that, and it's a multi-million-dollar business for them for years. And when I think about using AI for good in finance, in any of these deeply complex, interrelated, rule-based systems that do have loopholes, if we only could find them, I worry about the AIs finding these loopholes. That we in society are used to this. We might not like gerrymandering or the filibuster in the United States politics. And actually, the filibuster was a loophole. It was discovered in 50 BC, ancient Rome. Pliny the Elder looks at the rules and says, it says all business must be conducted by sundown. And he looks around and says, if I never stop talking, we'll never get business done. And that loophole continues to today. This is not new. But the human pace of loophole finding is what we're used to. We are not used to a super accelerated pace of loophole finding. We are not used to an AI finding hundreds of loopholes in the US tax code. That is not something our system can deal with. We have to think about that. These systems are going to be used in finance in many different ways by both the powerful and the less powerful. And my worry is that the powerful have more raw power that can be magnified through the use of these tools. I mean, sure, we know you register your ship in Panama, you incorporate your company in Delaware. These are old hacks. I worry about the new ones.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I am now going to call one of the BGF board member, Mr. David Silbersweg, who is also the Harvard Medical School professor. With your applause, please encourage him. Yeah? Thank you.
Thank you, Minister, Ambassador, congratulations. So I'm going to offer a complementary perspective from the vantage point of a physician, a neuroscientist, and part of why I love being in the Boston Global Forum is the ability to work with Juan and Tom and others to be able to think about these things and to be able to think in a broad as well as a deep manner and to be able to offer some perspective occasionally in this regard. So the perspective that I'd like to bring is one that starts with the fact that we're humans, right? We are organisms who have evolved a brain that has adaptive capacities, that helps us a lot and gets us into trouble individually and socially, and that has now developed AI, and we've just heard about how it can be for good or for ill. And so when we think about all these things, it's helpful to be able to bring a contemporary understanding of the human brain, mind, and health and disease, and neuropsychology, because after all, we are a bunch of, we are social animals. We are a bunch of brains interacting. Now we're interacting with a bunch of AI agents. We will increasingly. How do we model that? How do we understand that as a complex system? What are the emerging functions for good or for ill? What are the dangers and the possibilities that we can bring? And can we, with an understanding of human neurobiology and medicine from a point of view of healing, but in this case healing society rather than just healing individuals, and after all, society is made up of individuals, can we bring a perspective that can inform a policy or build in some protections? In this regard, I think of particular relevance is the neural underpinnings of pro-social versus antisocial behavior. And we've heard many examples of that, and of course what we're trying to do here is tip the balance, right? And so I won't go into the neurobiology of that. That would take a few hours at least. But suffice it to say that we are now, with brain imaging of the sort that we do and other sorts of approaches, learning more and more about how pro-social behavior can be enhanced, hopefully how antisocial behavior can be diminished, but we've just heard that there will always be a sort of small proportion of bad actors or authoritarian regimes who will use these tools for ill, and that will accelerate and scale the destruction that can accrue. And what we want to do is to try to understand and bring morality right? That's what we've been talking about, bring ethics and morality to the situation, whether it's finance, whether it's the AI, whether it's the confluence of the two that we're particularly talking about here. In that context, in-group, out-group behaviors are deeply ingrained in our brains. They are adaptive when you're in a tribe, and you have to maximize the good for your tribe members and be worried about the tribe across the mountain who may come and take all your resources and more. But we have that deeply embedded in us, and unfortunately, demagogues and authoritarians are beautifully equipped because of their own pathology, I would say, to stimulate the areas in our brain that are associated with fear or, in certain cases, reward, and can actually create in-group, out-group groupings that needn't be there and that end up causing a tremendous amount of hate, violence, destruction, and on and on. And so, essentially, I'm just going to make a plea that as we engage in this discussion and these actions moving forward, that at a place like Harvard and beyond, we can avail ourselves also, in addition to all the brilliance in this room around the technology, the politics, the diplomacy, etc., the science that may help to put a moral compass into AI. The more we understand about what a human moral compass is in the brain and how it can go awry and how we might write it again. During the discussion, perhaps we can also hear a bit from Professor Clippinger, with whom I'm working on some of these ideas. He's on the sort of technical side and social side of this, and including some ideas about finance, but I'll leave it with that and look forward to the big discussion.
Thank you, thank you, thank you very much, Professor. I am going to call again our medical journalist and also venture capitalist, Mr. Cameron Sabat, please.
Yes, so thank you very much, and I really appreciate this opportunity. Once again, I'm Cameron Sabat, Principal of Multifaceted Capital and Georgetown medical student. We're here because AI isn't knocking on the door of global finance. It's already inside, and it's rewriting the rules while governance struggles to catch up. So this Boston Global Finance Accord isn't just theory, it's a blueprint for AI-driven financial systems that never sleep. It's transparent, as Audrey Tang mentioned. It's resilient, and it's accountable 24/7. And I'd like to show you a little bit of what that future could look like. So first, we have an idea of real-time CBDC fiscal rails. So central banks still operate like it's 1995. Slow, manual, reactive. Imagine if fiscal policy moved at the speed of code. With programmable currency, designed at potentially MIT and the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, we can embed central bank digital currency directly into government payment systems. So social benefits, infrastructure spending, emergency payment systems, or emergency relief are all executed in real time with full transparency and precision. So this isn't just crypto speculation, this is sovereign programmable money integrated with partners like Stripe Treasury, Palantir Foundry, and Visa Crypto. Liquidity backed by Fidelity and State Street. And fiscal policy becomes automated, auditable, and agile. So that's the future we're underwriting. A second idea is a federated finance data trust. And so AI needs data, but institutions need privacy. We're building, potentially, a federated data mesh, a secure, decentralized system where financial institutions, regulators, and enterprises can collaborate without ever exposing raw data. So this can be a partnership between, Harvard, MIT, CSAIL, and Akamai, and it can be privacy-preserving AI that enables continuous regulatory oversight, anti-money laundering detection, and systemic risk monitoring, all without breaching confidentiality. And that's the real kicker. So this wouldn't just be compliance, it's dynamic AI-generated, AI-enhanced government infrastructure. And finally, third, just to close out with this, it would be the AI governance 24/7. Thank you. So markets move in microseconds. Crises don't wait for office hours. Yet financial oversight today is lagging. We have batch reports, human delays, and reactive interventions. So we can deploy a sovereign AI layer, an always-on system that monitors financial ecosystems in real time, can flag emerging risks, enforce regulatory frameworks, and even provide human decision makers with instant actionable insights. So this wouldn't be about replacing regulators, this would be about equipping them with a super intelligent sentinel watching over global finance every second of the day. And the power still remains firmly in human hands. So Boston led the world in revolution once before, and today we do it again. This time not with muskets, but with algorithms, infrastructure, and institutional resolve. And this is how the Boston Global Finance Accord will push this future forward. Thank you very much.